Hello there, I'm Blackbright, and I thought I'd give you a little roundup. A few little things I just needed to tighten and let you know about. First time you're passing, please subscribe, like, share, put the thumbs down if you don't like what I talk about. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Matt Hancock has announced that families of the NHS workers or health workers and social workers are to get £60,000 cash. It doesn't compensate for the deaths, but it's their way of showing um, something, giving them something. What I was wondering was whether or not that was in addition to the death in service benefit that most health workers get. Um, it's a bit of an awkward one because what they're saying is that if people on precarious contracts, I'm assuming those who come from abroad who are on visas, I don't think that their families get it. I think they're looking to do something, but I don't think their families get it if they've got family here. And they're also talking about they're looking to see about what have I written here? Families of NHS staff members who died to get £60,000 cash sum on their life assurance scheme. That's 82 NHS staff that died plus 16 social workers. And like I said, NHS staff, well, health service staff, get a death in service benefit, but I'm not quite sure if that depends on whether or not you pay the pension. The pension is quite expensive. A lot of people, especially the low paid, they opt out of the pension, especially when they're young. It's like it's a long way off. If the death in service payment is contingent to whether or not you're in the pension scheme, then I can understand why Matt Hancock is going to pay 60,000 to the families, because that means they wouldn't get anything. The death in service, I think it gives you 4 times your annual salary. So, but like I said, the pension scheme, it's quite a lot of your basic salary. So a lot of people opt out of it. And if that's the case, they wouldn't really get that much. So that is that. I'd just like to know if it's in addition to the death in service. They haven't said anything about the death in service, so I'm not quite sure. But like I said, I'd like to think that those frontline people who came from abroad, whether they're on a temporary visa or what, I'd like to think that their families get something. So, what else have I got here? This is going to be a quick one because I just did a long one a while ago. Everyone aged over 5 with symptoms are eligible for coronavirus testing. Children in the UK infected by the Kawasaki disease, which is linked to COVID-19. Apparently, one 14-year-old died. And you know the oh well, I don't want to jump. I do want to jump, but I don't want to jump. Okay, let's not jump. 21,000 contact tracers have been recruited in England to help manually trace the contacts of anyone who has had a positive COVID-19 test. That may be because the trialing that they did in Isle of Wight hasn't got the approval that they wanted. So they wanted it to roll it out, I think, round about now. But because there's some issues and compatibility issues with, I mean, the digital approval body, it's got some high standards. And if it's going to have the NHS name on it, it needs to be really, really secure. So there are some issues with it, which make it, there's going to be a delay of a couple of weeks. Well, they said few weeks, but maybe a couple of weeks. So, So that, why did I jump that one in? Anyway, that was because of the contract tracers. That's why I'm wondering whether 21,000 contract tracers have been recruited because of the delay in the actual app. That's just what I was wondering. I don't know if it is because of that or whether they were going to recruit them anyway. But yeah, that's that. Also, they've got a new symptom if you've got coronavirus. It's the loss of normal sense and smell. It's called anosmia. So if you've lost your normal sense of smell or taste, it could be a symptom of the coronavirus, even when other symptoms are not present. So if that happens, you have to immediately self-isolate for at least 7 days. Okay, the app I was telling you about that I was going to jump to but decided not to, the NHS contact tracing app being trialled on the Isle of Wight does not meet industry standards at the moment, even though this is being disputed. Apparently there are approval problems according to the Health Service Journal. However, like I said, this is being denied. There's some concerns about its effectiveness and privacy and whether it can be added to the NHS library. It's not going to be ready as quickly as they thought. The government digital service has high standards and it needs to meet them. Okay, today the leader of the NHS pandemic testing programme has highlighted concerns about the rate of COVID-19 transmissions in hospitals. I'm not quite sure why they'd be surprised, because if they've got exposure to the virus, surely they would expect there to be an increase in hospitals. I'm not quite sure why they're surprised by that, because it's similar to what we were talking about the other day about those BAME health workers who are on the front line, and a lot of them are dying. They're dying because they're of the exposure to the virus and subsequent infection. So this is a similar thing. So I'm not quite sure why they've got concerns, because that is the risk, isn't it? Working in a hospital, that is a risk, especially when there's a pandemic. Anyway, what was interesting is CNN reported in February the risk of hospital-related transmissions of the coronavirus in Wuhan, China. The study published in the medical journal JAMA involved analysing data on 138 patients hospitalised with the novel coronavirus infected pneumonia in Wuhan, China. The data showed that hospital-related transmissions of the virus were suspected in about 41% of the patients, but the study had some limitations. And what they're learning was control measures in hospitals. It is vital, really, really important. So, yeah, they also felt it was because of the exposure to the virus. So, yeah, this is a short and quick and sweet. And I'm not going to hold you up anymore. You can go to bed now, or you can relax and watch some TV. That's all for now. Bye-bye.